Welcome to episode 7 of Whispers from the Raven's Nest. I'm gonna be honest. It's funny because I have so many times where I'll get downloads or thoughts and things I just want to record, and I have probably over hundreds of thousands of recordings over the years now. Some I don't even know where they're at, like things I've just recorded for my own knowledge and things I plan to eventually go through at a later point because I feel like some of that would be beneficial to post publicly. But lately, as my intention has been to be more witness in my thoughts and my truth, it's like when I think about recording, I just go blank. Even though I have thoughts and ideas when I'm not thinking about it, things I've been even now regularly recording to just get out of my head and energy so I'm not holding on to it and that I'm moving through now. And so I just think that's hilarious. And I also, you know what? I'm not even going to say hilarious. It's part of a sacred process, you know, that I'm learning to push those edges now that I actually have the intention to be more witness in my truth. You know, there's a freeze, there's a pause, there's a hesitation sometimes, like, oh, is this worth sharing? Or, oh, is this maybe too aggressive or radical thinking? Or, oh, is this, whatever it may be, or this just feels too vulnerable to share at this point. And I'm just going to let the process continue to unfold as it's been unfolding. The last week and a half, I don't know, maybe even 2 weeks, I have not been feeling the best. I've been hit with so much energy and like spiraling that I've needed to work through. It's like the energy has been moving and shifting and upgrading, not only within me, but also collectively. A lot of things have been going on. So I've been working through those energies, resting, letting my body just really rest, integrate, move, transmute. So for this recording, I'm just going to keep it really simple. I'm going to see what comes through. With my intention, honestly, I started a dieta practice training recently. And so the theme for this week was what makes you happy and brings you joy. So that's what I'm just going to speak on, and I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm working with Sunflower in our group, which it's hilarious because, or you know what? That's a thing too. I wonder, even me saying, why do I always say that's interesting or hilarious? It's just, it is what it is. And just looking back, I've noticed how Sunflower started to work with me before the dieta started, before the training started, which isn't abnormal for me. I've noticed even for other things, like when I started working with cacao years ago, months before I started working with cacao, months before I was introduced to cacao, Spirit already started working with me. Like I mentioned this in another episode, literally overnight, my whole life, I had wanted more milk chocolate over dark chocolate or white chocolate. And overnight, I woke up, I want dark chocolate. That's all I started to crave was dark chocolate whenever I had chocolate. And it's like, I don't really want milk chocolate. And, I still like the occasional white chocolate, milk chocolate, and all that. Like, even when I craved milk chocolate, I still like dark chocolate occasionally. But not really. And it was overnight. And that's happened with other things, too. But anyway. And just looking at some of the things I've done, I created this children's song. I created this channel for a children's song, and I want to create, like, different inspirational songs. And it was Shine Bright Like Me. And I didn't even really realize the correlation until we started the diet and we were talking about things, and then other things that have been happening too, like me starting to take my magnesium glycinate at night. I've been taking magnesium for a while on and off, like chloride, and I put it in my water, but I've been hearing about glycinate for years and I never really tried it. And then Spirit came and brought it to me, and I started literally like a day or two or so before the dieta, and we were talking in our first group training. She was talking about how it's full of magnesium, the sunflowers, and other stuff that was basically synchronistic to things I had been doing and things that have been coming through. So a lot of things around my truth, in correlation to that, and in correlation to the full moon in Sagittarius that happened yesterday, and the energy is still here. that has been going on. It's been coming through a lot of shifts. So anyway, what makes me happy and or brings me joy? The simplest answer is anything that I feel free to do, that I feel safe to do without restriction, that allows me to tap into my creativity, my sensuality, my inner child, just the mysteries of the universe, exploration, curiosity, and whatever that may be. And they can look different for me at different times. There was an alarm just went off just in case that interrupted the recording. Um, so as a child, I love to paint and draw. I love to um, imagine and daydream and visualize through my actions. I remember when I was a child, I used to pretend I had a cooking show where I was explaining like how to cook things. Literally, I'd be standing behind the kitchen counter and talking as if I'm on a show. I remember me and a friend or family member, I don't remember, we did like a play runway show, like just fashion design runway show for my mom. And once me and some friends or family, we did literally like a concert, a music concert where we were singing and standing on the table, dancing and everything else. Like when I used to watch Pocahontas as a child, the scene where she's running through the woods and singing, I would literally run through my room, jump on the bed, jump on the counters, and like jump off as if I'm flying, like my dresser and stuff and everything else. And I was safe for the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely got into some scrapes sometimes as a child, doing things, but I remember me and my cousin, sometimes it was this apartment complex I stayed at, and so sometimes when my cousins would visit, even sometimes when they weren't, we would literally pack we had these little mini kid book bags. We would pack like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, chips, little bottles of water, and literally, as if we're going on a big intense hike, we would walk through the little wooded areas behind the apartment complex, and literally just explore. And that was just the goal. I've always loved doing it. I've always had this sense of exploration and curiosity within me, whether it was through my actions or through things I've learned, through knowledge and things I've watched and listened to, courses I've taken. That's just always been there for me. I'm just an explorer. I'm a learner. I'm a student of life. And I've taken classes and been in experiences where it's just like, okay, this isn't necessarily something that I want to desire to do again, but I'm glad I had this experience. And so now, things that off the top of my head that bring me joy and make me happy is creating when it feels aligned. When I don't feel like energetically I have to be on guard or everything or for any other reason. And I'll get into that in another episode where it's like, oh, I just feel like creating something. I might get up, get in the kitchen, or go in my room and put together incense. Like I said, I make incense blends that I sell. I haven't sold them in a while. Like I said, this last year has really been recovery for me. Where I love working with resins. Oh my goodness, I have this deep love relationship with resins specifically. I love working with herbs and plants and sticks and spices and all of that, and oils, and I noticed though when it comes to resins, frankincense, one second, I just gotta return back and just quick message. Okay, resins, whether it's frankincense or myrrh or labdanum or pine or just whatever, oh my goodness, I am just even thinking about resins, it turns me on in the most beautiful, creative way. And physically, yes, but also like I get that sensation, but it's not just like it's not a sexual thing. It's a literally, that's my sacral energy, that's my creative flow, that's my life force. Like, oh, that excites me so much. And that's something too, I've been learning how, as I'm a manifesting generator, and with the sacral authority, a lot of things that are aligned with me, it moves through me in that way. It feels more if you're not like in tune with it, sexual. And for a long time I had to really learn to recognize that, like, when sometimes when I feel turned on, it's not a sexual thing. It is my creative life force saying yes, I want to dive into this, I want to try this, and everything else. So there's different aspects to that, but I might talk about that at a different time. But yes, whether it is infusing resins into a body oil, I have a specific body oil I love to make, and I've been thinking about actually making it to sell it for a while, and I probably will. Like I said, when I get back into making products, right now I'm really focused more on recovery and business stuff. I've been focused in creating more things that are more digital based, service based. It's just my spirit has brought me to that, and I feel the energy of physical creation coming back in soon. So I'm just allowing that process to be. But I have some ideas for some upgraded products. But one thing I feel will be always be a cornerstone physical product will be my incense. I love them. They always just shift the energy, whether it is if I have like a heavy energetic day, or just coming in, I just want to shift my energy. If I want to clear some energy, if I want to start a ceremony or a ritual, whatever it is, I light my incense, and every single time without fail, my energy always shifts. Whenever I light incense that I can take, because I'm very sensitive, but especially my incense that I make, I have about 4 or 5 different blends for different things, and I combine resins and herbs and spices and woods and everything else with my intention and energy, and it's just so magical. Okay, I just went into the whole thing. I love resins, if it's not clear enough yet. Um, it's just the scent, the feel, the applications. My mind just starts going, and so I love to create herbal products. Teas, I love making tea. I call them elixirs. Well, I mean, there are official elixirs, as you know, in the herbal world, but I call them elixirs and potions, and just, yeah, I love making tea blends. That has become a very big love of mine. Just drinks, period. Actually, I'm not even gonna say tea blends. Drinks, period. Whether it is a beautiful, magical cacao drink to open the heart or in ceremony, whether it is a beautifully slightly sweet and grounding nourishing spice tea that I love to make from my Ayurvedic training. It's like certain things I keep from every training I've had, like certain things that just I naturally embody, and other things it takes more time. I remember from my Ayurvedic training, one of the biggest things that I just automatically embodied was spice teas, and then the practices of the dinacharya practices. It's like tongue scraping, oil pulling, Abhyanga body massage, things like that. Those were things that kind of stuck with me. And then I'm always embodying, I'm always integrating all these other teachings more and more on a deeper level. And so I love Ayurveda. I love that. My journey with food and eating and creations and cuisine has changed. And like it went from when I was younger, what I was raised on, which was fine. And then I started looking more into holistic food, and then like raw plant-based eating. And then I learned how raw plant-based eating it's great, it's beautiful, and there's a time and a place for it. And then also not everybody body is ready to receive it. And then I learned into Ayurvedic cooking and food, and how that is very beneficial. And so now, and I went back to raw food and the Ayurveda, and actually combining them and learning and slowly learning like other types of cuisine and putting it in. So it's like those things are intertwining and becoming this beautifully harmonious blend of just whatever it is, it's still becoming. But now I look at it differently. So now when I think about food and eating and nourishing the body, I combine the different things. And then when you take into the teachings in Ayurveda about eating seasonally, that also brings in another aspect too. Like there are times of the year where eating more raw plant-based food is better for the body. Eating more Ayurvedic food, as far as for certain times of the year, is better. Or like during the winter time, eating more soups, more broths, more grounding things like root vegetables is great to help us be grounded. In the summertime, having more cooling things like with mints and different things that help to cool the body, not just externally but internally, is great. In springtime, it's a great time for cleansing and detoxification and not having as much wet stuff because it's a wet weather. So you might want stuff that's slightly more drying that helps to balance the body. And then also in the fall, that's a great time for movement and kind of combining a mix of things. And it also depends on what area in the world you are. It depends on what phase your body, like what cycle you're in your body, how your body works, what conditions. It's so many things to it, and it's so amazing. I love to draw. I love to, like I said, paint. Painting has been something that I love doing as a child, and I've had this resistance to going back and forth. It's been an on and off resistance as I've been learning to clear wounds around that from different things that happened. And so I do it sometimes, and I feel great. And I had a phase where I did it a lot more often, and I feel myself coming back to it, and so I'm allowing things to unfold. But I know for me, creativity is a big thing. So me being able to honor my creativity regularly, actually I'm working on towards daily, is very important for me and my own expansion in my life, just because of the things that show up. My energetic and natal and all these other profile you looks, frequency and essence, creativity is a big thing for me. Um, so that's in dancing and movement. Um, just working on growing, connecting in intimate groups is I love it for when the energy feels good. And being, I prefer more intimate small groups where we have conversations, we joke, we laugh, we have a little bit of the heavy stuff, and then we have some of the lighthearted stuff where my soul feels nourished, where I know that we are having this exchange of energy and thoughts and just support. That is something that brings me joy and makes me happy. I every once in a while I have a part of me that wants to be in like big energy, big crowds, like clubs. I've only been in clubs, like dance clubs and stuff, maybe 5 times my whole life. It's never been a big thing, but every once in a while, like I say, once in a blue moon, my spirit will be like, I want to do this. I want to go and be in this big energy. I haven't done it lately, and it's not something I do often, just because now, as I've grown more into my spirituality and practices and awareness, because I know how energy is, and I'm working through certain things continuously. So, but yeah, sometimes it's like I want to be in that big energy. I want to be there to just to let go, and not necessarily to be seen, but just to be in this energy. So I do love community, and at the same time, I love and require regular time to myself to recharge, to be. And honestly, a lot of times I have my biggest downloads and deepest work sometimes. A lot of times is when I'm in my own space, when I'm just in my own energy, when there's not that part of me that naturally wants to hold space and caretake, is not doing that even intuitively for others. And part of that I'm learning, part of that could have been still be from partial wounds of overgiving and overpleasing that I'm working through. And part of it is actually the aspect that I am meant to be in community and to assist in holding space to help to um, uplift and upgrade the collective frequency and energy. It's not just me, it's a whole bunch of us out there, and we all work together. So it's like, okay, is it really this or that? And it could be a part of both, and it could honestly be the fact of like sometimes I can overthink things, and it's not even a wound anymore, because I've worked to transmute a lot of my wounds and traumas and everything else, and to get to a place where it is just a lot of clarity, and these things have been really transmuted into just gifts and strengths and things that I continue to expand and grow on. And a lot of times we're doing a lot more, we're a lot farther than we believe, than we think we are. And I've realized that about myself. So I'm allowing myself to be in that. And I'm talking really fast on this episode, I noticed, because the things are just flowing through me, and I'm allowing them to just flow, and I'm not going to overthink it. So yeah, those are things that makes me happy and brings me joy. Rest. Also, just really being able to rest. To rest without pressure or restriction, and just be, to have times of silence and stillness is something that brings me so much joy and peace. And I can just lay on the bed, or if I have a workout, and I can just sit and be in that energy and let that energy and the waves and just flow through me. Oh, that feels so good in my body. It feels so nice to have those moments. And even intimacy and having divine like sexual union with someone, going into that, that also brings me so much joy when it is sacred, when it is beautiful, when it is intimate, when it is magical. I've noticed growing up that was always a way that I felt really connected was because energy, even before I started like getting, I guess, finger quotes. I'm saying air quotes because I've always had initiations when I really look back at my life. But like getting my Reiki training, when I got attuned and initiated, so to speak, there's so many times I've done meditations and breath works and I got initiated into so many things on the spiritual side, through the spiritual realm. So for me, this is really a journey of remembrance, coming back into things. Now it's good to have the in the physical realm, the actual protocols and knowledge also to tap into, not just the intuitive knowing, but it's great because I have both of those things intertwined. But even before that, I noticed when I would connect with people, like I would notice so much energy flowing through my hands. It was insane. And I used to think, am I tripping? And I realized I wasn't. That is actually because I'm, like I said, I'm a very sacral, creative, sensual being. The energy that it flows through me when it feels aligned, when it feels free. That was one of the biggest ways I connected with people. I had a experience too, where when I was with someone and when we were together intimately, they were going to do this deep, intense plant medicine retreat, and part of their prep work, dieta, was no sexual relations before. And we honored that. It wasn't any issue with that. But the day or two before they left, I don't, and it was really spirit. I noticed spirit worked through us a lot in this relationship. There were some things that weren't that great. I've mentioned this one before, but there were some on the spiritual realm that was good. So this particular day, I noticed he poured into me more than usual. Which, like I said, that relationship is a whole nother topic. But this specific instance, he poured into me that day a lot. And it was like when it came to like physical attention and just interaction. And I realized why that was. That was spirit working through him so that when I poured back into him, it helped to prep him. And it showed me a big lesson. So anyway, the whole day he poured into me. It was like a whole day of like nourishment and kind of like foreplay without the knowing that it was foreplay. So anyway, it later that night it actually felt aligned, even though we were honoring and respecting the no sexual relations before his retreat. It felt aligned for us to do that, and we did. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Because I've had times where spirit has just like really just worked through me, where almost my high self just kind of took over in my actions, and I'm just here and I'm like really just seeing what's going on. That's what happened. Spirit, my high self, really just kind of took me over in that instance. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still in control to an extent, but I also have enough knowledge to know when spirit is like working through me in my actions. So we were together and I'm noticing all this energy moving, and literally he starts almost crying. And then basically I was kind of guided to, without getting into all the details, I was guided to, how do I say this? Care for him, or foreplay actions in a way that I hadn't before with him. And I noticed, and so basically I was sitting behind him and I'll just leave it at that, and I was doing some stuff. And I noticed he started making these certain sounds, and I'm starting to worry. I'm like, is he okay? Because I knew specifically he had certain wounds around sexual relations and abuse and stuff, and I'm not going to get all into that, but I know this. And then so spirit started dropping stuff in, and I'm like, is he okay? And I started getting these downloads of like, it's literally wounds. These wounds particular are clearing, are moving. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just letting spirit work through me. And through the whole time we were together, I just felt all this stuff moving, all this energy, and spirit was just moving through me and guiding me. I'm like, all right, all right. So at the end, I felt it. Like I just knew it. And when he told me this, it was confirmation. He was like, all of my chakras just opened all the way up and aligned all the way. And it basically what happened was spirit worked through him that day to pour into me. And then so that I had all of this. It's like, women, when we have, and I mean anybody, but really, when you have a womb takes in and it multiplies. So all of this energy and nourishment I multiplied it, and I used that with my abilities and gifts to move energy, and I cleared all this stuff up to help prep him because he was going through he was gonna go through a deep plant initiation. So this didn't feel like draining or anything else. This was a very nourishing experience to happen for both of us. It showed me, it confirmed some things that I had always thought. And all the downloads I got, and when I got confirmation from him, and it just basically, it was just, it wasn't an experience that you forget. I'm gonna just say that I learned and got some deep confirmations. And but yeah, energy is always moved through me in connection, into touch with others, and it's always, if it's not a draining experience, because realistically, let's just be honest, a lot of times, a lot of people that are not on journeys, that they don't know how to nourish themselves and pour into themselves and really ground, there is a take energy. And a lot of times a woman, like the womb, there's this desire to return back to the womb because it's safety, for a lot of people, and especially like sometimes when you say with guys returning back to the womb, there's this desire. And so a lot of times with sexual relations, it's honestly about taking, it's about getting off, it's about getting this connection, getting closer to the void, the womb. So this was like a very nourishing thing. So that's another thing that also in healthy connections, and not just in sexual, but just healthy intimate relations, like hugging and just connecting and everything else. Those are healthy forms of intimacy. So looks like I'm about to be not interrupted, but I'm not going to be alone in the space, so I'm going to let that be what this is. But yeah, those are some of the beautiful things that brings me joy and makes me happy. And I see the expansion that's happening working with Sunflower and all these other things. So I'm grateful. I'm blessed, and I'm just allowing it to unfold and to be. So I'm trying to see, is there anything else that wants to come through really quick in this space? I'm just gonna do a quick, I'm doing a little Reiki really quick into this, tapping into the energy of Sunflower, expansion, but also being able to work in the shadows and seeing the light. Thank you. So it is. Blessings. Hey, so brief pause. I decided to go ahead and keep recording for this. This is actually the next day, actually, but it came to me just to continue when I was in a process of creating a video for upload, just to add a few more things around this topic and around what makes me happy and brings me joy. Something that keeps coming up is it's a vision I have. It's not really a vision, it's a memory, but Spirit always takes me back to a time that made me really happy and I felt true joy and bliss. Was the first time I went to a cacao and ecstatic dance. I'm not sure, I might have mentioned this before, but it was a part during the dance where I just kind of sat down on the wall. I kind of left the floor with everyone, and I just sat down and I just looked and I just took it all in. I took in all of the love and the bliss and the authenticity and the safety, and where you could just tell everyone felt safe to just be, to just dance, to just move without judgment. That made me tear up and cry a little bit because it was so beautiful. And every single ecstatic dance event I've been to since, I always naturally just intuitively just take a moment where I step out of being a participant and I move into the witness, the observer, and I go sit on the wall and I just look and I just take it all in. Seeing others also in their joy in a beautiful, loving way that doesn't come from harming others or overshadowing, like everyone just allowed to take up space, everyone allowed to be, to connect in a way where they're honoring themselves. Where some people might want to dance together and some people don't. And even in that process, there's still a learning and unlearning process for some people that are choose to take that step of courage to do that, because even in those dances sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable to get vulnerable like that, to be open like that, and to really play with the dynamics of connecting with others. And not, there's times where it's like I wanted to connect and then it just felt right in my soul just to come back into my own dance. So it's like that courage to honor, put those boundaries up in a way that's loving and allowing the other person to honor those without feeling like it needs to be forced, without feeling fearful of it. And same thing with others. Like you can tell sometimes it's a process for people. Some people are just fully in it, and sometimes you might have someone who's fully in it and they take a moment where it's like, okay, let's try this edge. Let's push this edge a little bit. Now, that edge might be connecting with others. Um, that edge might be opening their eyes. Some people like to dance with their eyes closed, for one, because some people just tap into the energy and the frequency and the flow more. Some people do it because it makes them feel safer versus seeing what's around them, like taking it all in, looking and seeing that they are being possibly looked at. Some, it is like making that invitation to others to dance with them and flow, and allowing that dance to actually be what it's going to be. For some, it is accepting that invitation. For some, it is choosing to, like, okay, this was nice. Now I'm being called to come back into my own dance, and putting up that sign, signal, or whatever. It's like, okay, I just want to be to myself now. And for some, it's honoring. For some, that step is honoring others' boundaries and respecting them. So it's so many things going on. And at the same time, there's this beautiful energy of just love and joy. And don't get me wrong, there are gatherings where that's not always the case. But when you have something that's just truly, truly divine, even in all of these processes that are happening, it's magical, it's beautiful, it's just, it's love. And for some people, it's showing up different. Like maybe you have someone that wants to dress more in alignment with the person that they're trying to be, because that's a ritual too. So you can tap into that frequency, like, oh, I want to be someone who is more open and able to adorn themselves more. So they choose maybe spaces like that initially to try to push that edge for themselves and show up. And let that become a practice, a ritual, an intention that they're setting. There's just so many ways. So anyway, that memory keeps coming up. So seeing others in that beautiful divine joy, bliss, and safety, even as they're working through the uncomfortabilities, and allowing myself also to be in that process with others when I'm in that process on my own. Seeing others like win, and it's not from a place of, it's from a place of authenticity and care that did not need to come from harming or stepping over others. For me, I have a big thing about others doing wrong, like things that are not justified. So seeing others win in a way that they were able to honor that, and even seeing people's growth. Maybe it was someone who did something in the past, and they're truly choosing to become a better version of themselves. You know, seeing conversations, even conversations that I'm not a part of, whether it's online or listening to or just in person, and just seeing the connection and the dynamic, especially going into deep depths of topics, not just surface level, whether it is generational healing, relationship healing, healing the feminine, healing the masculine, whether it's like in brotherhood or sisterhood, talking about herbs and healing, talking about finances, but you're bringing in that spiritual depth and aspect to that. Um, those things I think are beautiful. Meditating and having like journeys, vision quests, so to speak, and really being able to dive deep into those things bring me so much joy. I have an intention that one day I'll be able to do that with others in connection, like literally where we're not just in groups, because I've been in group things and I've seen visions of us all together holding hands, but really more like a divine partner. Or if I have a connection of friends and community that, for one, I know that I feel the safety within myself to, and not just safety, but I feel the space in their frequency around me too, where we're connecting, and it's not that part of me that feels like it needs to hold space, where we can literally connect. I can be in their energy, they can be in mine, but we also are very sovereign of our own energy and space, where it's like it's not one having to basically account for the other. We can just travel together safely, and we can have our own experiences together. But I also have this intention of being able to do that with a divine partner, a romantic divine partner, where we can literally just lay down together, hold each other's hands, and we can literally go on our own magical vision quest and grow and expand and learn and create and just be. And I had a similar experience to that once. The Spirit gave me a glimpse of that, the possibilities. So I know that is something that's possible. And now my intention is to have it in an even healthier, more grounded way. And what was I going to say? Oh, it's stillness too. Because that's like a type of meditation. I remember there was this thing they call a puja. It's like an all-night gong event, or it's a form of a puja. And basically is a puja ceremony is just kind of, well, it's different ways, but it's ways of prayer and worship rituals and stuff, which could look different in different things. But they considered it once as a couple events I went to. It was like an all-night gong event. I think it was around New Year's Eve some years back. And one event I went with my brother. He went with me. And when we were laying on the ground, like literally, it was hilarious because my brother, I could feel him a couple times looking over at me because this wasn't something he was used to. And they were just playing the gongs. And he told me throughout a good chunk of the ceremony, when he would look over, I looked dead. Like I just looked dead. Like it looked like I wasn't breathing, I wasn't moving, I wasn't making sound, like I was just still. And I say that to say, I mean, obviously I wasn't, at least not, at least not physically, I'll just say that, because there's death and rebirth too, but I've had moments where I got that still, that silent, that just present, where I can just be, so much so where it has looked like that. But in those moments, it's like this deep peace and surrender that happens. And it's been work for me to be able to get to that place again. I haven't been able to in a while, honestly, just because as I've been recovering from this accident, it different brain injuries, and one of the effects is it's hard for me to fully relax as much as I used to mentally. So I'm getting that place now that I'm a lot more farther along on my journey of healing than when it originally happened last year. It's becoming easier and easier for me to fully relax and meditate without having to be so intentional about it. Like There was a time where I meditated every day for a year, and like it got to the point I could just drop into deep into any meditation and intention or vision just like within a minute, like deep. Not just relax, but I could just go in deep. And I and I was like, also I didn't, but the thing with that is it took me sometimes a long time to really ground and come back into my body fully from wherever it was, what I was doing or whatever. So I had to really learn how to harmonize that. Um, but say that to say, even after that year, that was just a skill that I built. And lately, I've been having to relearn multiple things, or at least get back going deeper. Honestly, it's not really. I don't even say relearn. It's like a remembrance. But even in the remembrance, it's a journey of going deeper into those things. Because I really feel like a lot of things that I was used to doing, I haven't been doing a lot. I haven't even wanted to. I haven't desired to. And it's like slowly those things come back. They've been coming back in their own time and in their own way. And they're also transforming. From rituals I've done to ways of working with energy. And it's just been a journey. Even parts of myself, like things I did, I just haven't wanted to do. I haven't had the desire to do. And I've really had to be on this journey of rediscovering certain parts of myself. And also realizing that I'm not the same person that I was almost a year ago. Just not. And so I've been allowing myself space to really expand and see what this different version, what this different version of me looks like, feels like, walks like, what's aligned. And in my core, certain things are still there, like certain ideas and morals and beliefs, and my spirituality that's always been a foundation of me for a very long time, that's still there. But it's also I'm also allowing it space to change, to grow, to transmute, because also in my ideals and my beliefs and everything else, those are transforming in certain ways. Like a certain foundational root of those are still there. But maybe how I look at them, or why I believe that, or maybe just needing to tweak them. Those things have been changing. So I'm just allowing this process to be. But, I don't know if I mentioned it, also animals. I love animals. I've always had this deep connection to animals and nature, but just animals, I just love them. I really, truly love them. I've connected with them. Like, sometimes I come across an animal, and it's like I can tell how it's feeling, what it's thinking, and what it needs. More so like people's, like animals that are internal. Inside, I've had experiences with ones out, like in nature, not as much. I'm not gonna lie. That is a kind of desire I do have. To have an experience where like all the little birds come over, or all the little butterflies or rabbits or whatever, and I'm allowing that to be what it's gonna be and happen, and it's gonna happen its own divine timing. But I've had experience. I remember when I was at this sanctuary for like a monkey sanctuary when I was out the country, and this little baby monkey came up to me, like literally. It was slowly walking up to me, and I was asking, like, "Are you okay? What's up?" And it was literally trying to talk to me, and it walked up like so close to me, and I was bent down. It was not even funny, but I didn't see it initially. So I was talking to my mom or my friend that was with me, and I turned around and accidentally stepped on this little paw, and it started crying, and I apologized to it, and then that's when I bent down. I was trying to talk to it, and even while I was shaking this little foot, because I accidentally stepped on it, because I didn't see, because he got so close to me, like that wasn't. You see all the animals, they were like keeping their distance, so it was like I wasn't even thinking to look down. And so even then, it was still coming all the way up to me and trying to talk to me. And then when I was walking, like the bigger adult ones, they were kind of doing their thing and everything the whole time we were walking through. One came up to my friend and tried to take her purse, and or at least pull on it. But later, when we were walking too, we was walking past these little baby monkeys, and I swear it was like they broke their necks looking at me and just following me, and not following me physically, but like their eyes. It was just like, and I've had experiences like that in a way too, and I took that. It felt like in a sense, a safety inner child thing. I've noticed. It seems like animals and children feel really safe around me. Um, but yeah, I just love them. I just love them. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I think that I can think of. I'm trying to see. I think that's good right now. I feel it feels complete. To be honest, I'm feeling a little out of it today. I had to do some procedure stuff, so. But I really wanted to go ahead and add the second part onto this. So if I sound a little different from the second part of the recording, that's why. But yeah, I'm gonna let it be. So blessings.